Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Best Pictures. I'm one of your hosts, Joey Powers.
And I'm Don Tretler. Welcome to the show.
So, Don, we were informed a little bit ago that the best part of our show is the hat. And as you can tell, the hat's not here, so it's already going downhill.
We're not doing the hat today.
Nope, no hat today. We've done Names from a Hat for quite a while now, and we talked about it last week. We decided we're going to do review sequels.
Yeah.
And I actually went through, I was just going through just the movies I own. Just looking through them just for like half an hour last night. And I was thinking, there are some actually pretty good sequels. And there are some really, really, really bad ones. And then there's some like, why did this movie get made?
Right. Well, it makes you wonder sometimes when they make a movie, whether or not they've got the sequel in mind to begin with. Whether they're already thinking ahead like, okay, this movie's going to be a big hit, so we'll move on to the next one. So I'll bet it's in people's contracts. I know nothing about contracts, but I'll bet it's somewhere when somebody signs to do a film. We'll just throw out an actor's name. Say Matthew McConaughey, right? Mm-hmm. Matthew McConaughey makes a movie. Is it in the fine print that says, if this movie's like a huge hit, you're on the line for...
For at least one more, possibly two more.
Right.
That's a good question. I don't know, because, there have been some that have gotten mixed up. Where the first one, it was a big hit, and then the lead actor's like, I don't want to do that again. So, look at Hugh Jackman. We talked about it last week. What did he do, like 8 Wolverine movies over like a 16-year period?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just don't want to do it anymore. It's like, that's kind of defined his career in a way.
Well, he gets kind of older after a while, too. How many years, like you say, if we go back to the first X-Men movie, you're talking 20 years, how long can somebody keep doing that? And granted, some people do. Like, as we're getting into sequels, we'll talk about, like, the biggest movie going right now.
Yeah. And this is number 6. And he's been doing it for 22 years now.
And he's doing an amazing... I haven't even seen this one yet. But I hear he's doing an amazing job. Yeah. And he's the same age I am.
Yeah.
So...
And he just takes care of himself. He works out a lot.
So what do you think? Off the top of your head, and I don't know the answer to this because unfortunately I just got back from vacation. So, I just barely drove into Bellows Falls within the hour.
Oh, wow. We could have canceled.
No, I didn't want to cancel it because I'm like, because then we put it off for another week. But
I've also noticed when we cancel, then it ends up getting canceled the next week, and sometimes it goes like 3 or 4 weeks, and it's just when we get in our groove, it's just fun to keep going.
It's easier, yeah. What do you think was the first sequel? Like, what do you think?
I have no idea.
Do you think there was something before The Godfather Part 2?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was. I think so, because I think the first Oscars were 1928.
Yeah. Sometimes people made stuff as part of a series. For instance, there were several Charlie Chan movies. There were several...
Charlie Chan? You mean
Charlie
Chaplin?
Chan. No, Charlie Chan.
Oh, Charlie Chan. Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, it was like a... I'm surprised. They'll end up bringing him back someday, right? He was like a Chinese detective.
Okay.
And he was played, I think originally... Am I wrong? I'm thinking it might have been Peter Lorre was the original Charlie Chan. I could be wrong with it. And then it was... let's see, Sidney Toler, Warner Oland. I don't even know how I know this.
But it was a series. They weren't sequels. They were series.
Yeah, and I wonder if they just started that way. Same thing with The Thin Man, with William Powell, and I think it's William Powell and Myrna Loy, did like several, I don't know if they did, I want to say 4. They did like 4 Thin Man movies. But I really can't think of like a real like sequel where they brought people back because something was such a big hit.
Yeah, I know. That's a very good question. I'm not into the older.
And do you think did they plan like when they did The Godfather? Did they plan on making a second film?
Like as they made the first one with the second one in mind already?
Because it was only like they put the second one together. It was what 72
and then 74. Yeah.
So to a certain degree, it makes you wonder: were they planning that out?
Yeah, or did they already start shooting some of it with the first one? Because I feel like a couple movies have been doing that with them. I think it was the Hunger Games. They did like 3 and 4 together, like because they had to go to like a remote island or something like that.
Right.
They're like instead of paying for people to come here, then go back to the States and then come here again. Let's just get it all done now. It's gonna take a lot longer, but everyone's here, so let's just. Because I think they did that with Lost, the TV show Lost, because they filmed it on Hawaii, and so they tried to film as much as they could at one time because it was just such a pain for everyone's schedule to go over to Hawaii for 4 months, 6 months, however long they shot for.
Right.
And it's smart. One, it saves money, and 2, just keep them all there, because all of a sudden something could come up and they're like, oh, well, I can't do it at this time because it's a conflict with something else that I agreed to that I forgot about, so. It's funny that you mentioned The Godfather, though, because
I'm thinking about it because we did a Godfather show, and I don't remember anything about it where it said basically they shot the first one with the second one coming in mind. And if you watch the first movie, which I've watched it enough times, I have a pretty good sense of it. It has a pretty clear ending to it.
It does.
Like beginning, like Coppola when they did that piece of it to be the movie, and it was going to stay there.
Right.
So the second one kind of felt a little bit, not
like,
that it's
hey,
a bad
it was
movie.
a success.
Yeah, like it was an add-on.
Right.
Like it was adding on to the story, but they did a great job with it.
Oh, they did. And that was the first good one I put was Godfather Part 2, which we've covered. But I mean, going back to that, that's a good question. I don't know if that was the first sequel or not. That's something we should look up and talk about next week. Yeah. Just in the beginning of the show.
I just thought at the top of our heads, because I was trying to think of another movie that did that brought it back. That's it.
I mean, now it happens every year. Multiple. But yeah.
Well, what about, here's another one. I'll throw out another movie that considered like a great movie, a great film that got sequels was Star Wars. And Star Wars has a pretty good beginning, middle, end, boom, and it can sit on its own.
Yeah.
That first movie, which was called, at the time it was called Star Wars, and now it's called, what, A New Beginning?
A First Hope? Or
A New Hope.
Yeah. So we each had half of it. That's funny because I think most people will say that not The Dark Knight. The Godfather Part 2 is probably the best sequel of all time. I think The Empire Strikes Back is the best sequel of all time. I think it's definitely the best science fiction movie of all time. It's by far the best Star Wars movie of all time.
That's the second one.
Yeah.
And then the third one was what? Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can tell you this. I was a kid, and when the second one came out, I went with my neighbor who was big into Star Wars, and we watched The Empire Strikes Back. And I was mad at the end of it.
Really?
Because if you remember, well, of course, you've probably seen it several times too, is Han Solo at the end of the movie is still frozen.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves like...
But you knew there was going to be a third one, though. I mean, they're not going to leave the movie with him saying, Luke, I'm your father, and then that's the end. There's not going to be another one. That's the ultimate cliffhanger.
I guess. I was a teenager at the time, I guess, so I was just kind of like burned. I was like, man, they're going to make me go see another movie.
Oh, yeah. And I thought Return of the Jedi I thought it was the worst of the three.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. It took me years because, well, I guess I had a little bit of a grudge. So I don't think I saw Return of the Jedi for at least 10 years.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I didn't see it when it came out.
Oh, how did you? Wow.
What year did it come out?
I think Return of the Jedi was 83.
Yeah, man, I don't even know where it was. 83, I would have been up here. I was working at the Keene Cinemas did they call them Keene Cinemas? They were called the Key Cinemas.
I think they're the Keene Cinemas now.
And I used to work at that multiplex. So I can remember some of the movies that played there, like the first Terminator movie. The other Arnold Schwarzenegger. He played Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, God. Was that when his voice was dubbed? Yeah.
What are the other ones? I'm trying to think what other movies I saw there. Poltergeist was while I was worked at that movie theater. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So somehow I didn't see Return of the Jedi when it came out.
It sounds like you kind of avoided it.
I did.
Yeah.
And then I got into it because you know what I almost don't think I saw it until they brought him back. They re-released him prior to the next set of sequels.
Yeah.
And they brought him to the cinema here.
And that's when you finally saw it.
I think that's when I finally saw it.
So you didn't see it for quite a while.
Probably, yeah.
Because I think they re-released them like 98 or 99.
Yeah, and I really wasn't, to tell you the truth, I really wasn't big into Star Wars until I had a child. Since I had my son and he liked it, then I went through and I watched those 6 movies. And now I've seen most of the sequels.
I haven't seen any of them.
I don't think I saw this. I didn't see the last one. I didn't see Han Solo. Otherwise, I've seen them all.
I heard Han Solo was pretty bad.
Really?
Yeah. But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any of the new ones. The last one I saw was the one where Anakin turns into... And then that's actually... That whole series is on my list of bad sequels. Any of episode 1 through 3 of the Star Wars. Jar Jar Binks might be the worst character.
They are not well regarded.
No. But no, I honestly think that... The Empire Strikes Back is the best sequel of all time. I really do. I mean, The Godfather 2 is great. The Dark Knight. Now, that was another thing I was going to mention because The Dark Knight is the second part of Christopher Nolan's trilogy, but those are remakes also, in a way, because Batman was already done by Tim Burton and then Joel Schumacher. Burton
Right.
did the first two and Schumacher did the last two.
So there's a set right there because they made the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker, the Tim Burton one,
Yes.
and followed it up with I don't even know what it's called, but
Batman Returns.
I always think of it. That's the one with the Penguin.
Yeah, with Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Because it was my favorite. Because that Danny DeVito as the Penguin
He was
probably
creepy.
my favorite. Yeah, he
He
was
was so
great.
creepy. He was excellent. Yeah.
Oh, big! You know that was like not that I've ever been a huge Danny DeVito fan, but that just amped it up for me because he was great.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm repeating this story, but I remember reading an article when they did the first Batman. They were talking about who was going to be the Joker, and the people that they had. It was going to be Jack Nicholson, Willem Dafoe, and Ray Liotta were the three names mentioned to play the Joker. All three of them would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been a
I
different
think Willem
interpretation.
Dafoe would have been a really creepy Joker, definitely.
He ended up being the Green Goblin
Oh, and Spider-Man.
in the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know we're getting now we're getting into some of the comic book stuff, and the
Yeah.
comic
Well,
books
comics books, there's just so many sequels now.
they were open to sequels. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like when you brought up the Wolverine. I know that they made like, three X-Men movies,
Right.
which I thought were really great. I like all three of those X-Men movies. And then they had like I don't know what they call them,
Like Days of X-Men Past or
Yeah,
Days of
the
Future
Young
Past.
X-Men.
Yeah.
and then they had a couple other ones that they made.
Where they have the young and the old together. Like,
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know. That got confusing because I don't really follow X-Men. I saw the first three, and honestly, unlike you, I didn't like them. I was kind of disappointed.
Oh, I really
I
like.
do want to see Logan, though. I mean, I do have that at home. I haven't seen
That's
it.
on my list too. I want to see Logan.
Once
too.
I watch it, I'll bring it in so you can watch it.
I want to see Logan. I saw some of the other ones because there's one called Wolverine, right?
I think so.
And there might even be another one. There might be like three of them.
I'm not
Several
sure.
Wolverine movies. I don't know. So those are pretty cool. But I wonder if they made those. See, you make a comic book movie. There's a lot of stories, and characters, and things that are like out there. You know, so if it makes enough money, hey,
You can just run with
we'll
it.
throw another one.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
about Deadpool? I'm mentioning this because I know you saw the sequel.
Oh yeah, I did. The first one was excellent. The second one was good. It's not as good. It's a good sequel, but it's not it's not better than the original. For example, I would say that The Dark Knight is better than Batman Begins, and I would also say Batman Returns is better than Batman, and I would also say that The Empire Strikes Back is better than A New Hope, whatever it's called.
Really? You liked it? You thought it was better than the original?
Yeah. I thought all
Wow.
of those sequels were better. And The Incredibles 2 was actually, I thought, better than The Incredibles, which is saying something because The Incredibles was a really good movie.
It was.
The Incredibles 2 is it was awesome. You really got to see that.
Oh, now you're talking Pixar too. So have
Oh,
you
yeah.
seen many of the other Pixar ones? For instance,
Toy
Toy Story.
I've seen the first 3 Toy Stories.
Was there more than three?
I think there's 4.
Oh,
I think. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe I've only seen the first 2. I'm not even sure.
There's only 3.
There's only 3. Okay.
only 3 of
So
them.
there's only 3. So I've
those
seen the
were
first
pretty
2
good.
then.
Yeah, they were pretty good. But I mean, I think it's hard to match like the first one. So the sequels were like, they were.
No,
okay,
wasn't
they
the
were
first
good.
one kind of groundbreaking? Wasn't that like one of the first things they did?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then what else did they do? They
did Cars.
Monsters Inc. got followed up by Monsters University.
Haven't seen those.
Cars has 3 movies.
I only saw the first Cars. I liked it enough to where I was like, I don't want them to ruin it.
Yeah, I really didn't like the second one.
No.
I can tell you that. And the third one I didn't see because I didn't like the second one.
Yeah, so it's like, why bother? See, that's another perfect example, though, because I thought The Hangover was a huge breakout hit when it came out, especially for an R-rated movie. And then the second one came out, and it made more money than the first one. And then the second one was just so horribly terrible that they did bring a third one out just because the second one made so much money. And because the second one did so poorly, the third one didn't do as much. But the third one I thought was a lot better than the second one.
Now, I just started to watch one of them because I was staying in a hotel, so I had the movie channels and stuff, and I started to watch it. And it's one where Zach Galifianakis has a giraffe in the back, and he's
God.
driving on the highway, and it goes under a bridge and he knocks the giraffe's head
I
off.
want to say that's 3, but I'm not.
Maybe it is
I'm not positive. I've only seen 2 and 3 once. The first one I've seen probably 100 times. I love the first one.
And I didn't think that's about all I saw of it because I didn't think it was funny. I was like, oh my god!
Have you seen any of any?
I
of
saw
them?
the first
Oh, you
one.
saw the first. Did you like the first one?
Yeah, I think I like the first one because I think they have some chemistry. Those guys.
Yeah, they do.
And it was pretty funny. I always thought that was kind of a funny concept. I remember thinking of it like before they had the movie. I thought, well, I won't go into it. I had this whole like wacky idea of people waking up after the day after.
Yeah.
It took a different spin, but something similarly wild. But one of the guys was missing, right? That's the whole premise of the story.
Yeah. Someone's always missing. They're just a bunch of freaking. I don't know. They make money, so I mean, as long as you make money, Hollywood will keep making movies.
So yeah, I guess it's hard to like pick out because some of these you don't know if they're intended to be if they made a movie to have a sequel.
Look, I'll give you a good example of a movie that probably wasn't made with the intentions of a sequel. It's Major League 2. I liked it, but I mean, they pretty much just took the script from Major League 1, just threw in a few different things and just made a Major League 2. Instead of Tom Berenger and Rene Russo's like love story or whatever, it's Charlie Sheen and his ex-girlfriends who's now like at the kids' shelter, like watching the kids or whatever. And Charlie Sheen's like their hero and stuff. But other than that, it's pretty much the same exact movie, except at the end, instead of winning a one-game playoff against the Yankees, they win the ALC championship against the White Sox, who beat them in the playoffs last year. Other than that, it's the same exact thing. It's a good movie, but you already saw it.
And the only casting change is Wesley Snipes did not make it
versus Omar Epps. Yeah. But other than that, it's really the same exact movie. So.
Yeah.
But that's a movie you can clearly tell they weren't planning on a series. It just became popular. So they're like, hey, let's run with this, make another movie, and see if we can get more money. And I also think the second one was PG-13, which the first one was R.
So it's almost as if almost any comedy really is going to be, people are going to feel like, oh, it made money, so let's make a second one. Like they even made a second Dumb and Dumber, which I didn't see. I still haven't sat down to watch the first Dumb and Dumber, but there is a Dumb and Dumber 2.
Yeah, like T.O. Like not 2, but T.O.
Right.
They made that like 20 years later. It's like I'm telling you, Hollywood's just out of ideas. They just got to keep doing this stuff.
What's funny is that I said years ago when I was working on Broadway, and I said Broadway is out of ideas. Like so much money is involved in making and marketing all these, all the plays, all the big musicals at the time, that they wouldn't take a chance on anything. Everything had to be like, it's shooting fish in a barrel. That's basically the only way they would do stuff. So when I was there, they did like Sunset Boulevard. They made a musical out of Sunset Boulevard. It really was like, some of the ones that I was working at were pretty good too. Like they had done Miss Saigon, which was an original. They it didn't come from something else. Cats was kind of an original idea. And these were some that were still hanging around at the time. But I think Hollywood's kind of come around to the same thing where they don't want to take chances. They don't want to waste. It's easier for them to knock out a sequel, especially if they can attach a star to it.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to bring in was World War Z with Brad Pitt.
Having a sequel come out next year, right?
The crazy thing is it's David Fincher.
Oh yeah.
Is doing the sequel. And that's kind of like, I was a little bit blown away by that because he's like a top director. You don't pick a guy like that.
Right.
The sequel is done by somebody who's, not quite as good as the person who did the original. But this time around, and I can't tell you who the guy was who did World War Z the first time around.
I was trying to look it up, but this one.
You're gonna look it up.
I was trying to, but this one's not working very well.
And what's interesting is that David Fincher pretty much got his start doing a sequel, doing Alien. He did Alien 3,
right? Yeah.
Which has if I don't know, have you seen the Alien movies?
No.
The first one was Ridley Scott. It was a real good movie. It was like a horror movie in space.
Yep.
Really, really good. And then it got followed up with James Cameron's Aliens, which was like big budget.
Oh yeah, of course, James.
It
Cameron.
was loud, and
Yeah.
it was pretty amazing, and it was a big hit, probably maybe even a bigger hit than Alien was. And then Alien 3 came out. David Fincher. It's very dark. It's very, has that real David Fincher feel to it.
Yeah, he's never gonna do a comedy. Never.
And then they've had some since then,
Yeah.
which I haven't seen. I know that there's an Alien versus Predator. There's, I'm trying to think what it is. There's another one because I know Sigourney Weaver like redid the role again.
Right.
I don't know if she's in the
I
Alien.
think Winona
versus
Ryder's
Predator.
in one of them too, isn't she?
Maybe that's one. Maybe they did one together.
I think they did. All right, so this is
But after a while, it gets to the point where they're making so many sequels. I mean, I start to lose interest after a while. I mean, other people, if you're not really, really into the franchise, why are you going to keep going back? I mean, I've kept going back. I've gone back now on Star Wars, and I've seen all, except for Han Solo, I've seen all the Star Wars movies now.
How did you like the newer ones, like the Last Jedi and the Force Awakens? Like,
I didn't like them as much.
No.
So I guess I'm in the minority. I think I liked those 3 prequels. I think I liked them better than most people did, and I think I liked the 2 newer ones less. But I really liked Rogue One.
yeah, I haven't seen that either.
Rogue One, I remember sitting there and I was like on the edge of my seat. I felt like you were supposed to feel watching that movie.
Yeah.
The last couple of Star Wars, I don't know what's the way to put it. There's too much reverence to the legacy, I think. And maybe that's why, because some people are really like, they're Star Wars heads, They know like for years, I had no idea who Boba Fett was. I'm like, who the heck is Boba Fett? They made such a huge deal out of the
Isn't
guy.
he like a gambler or like a
Yeah, it was like a
bounty hunter?
bounty hunter.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was in the first 3 movies, but he didn't have a big role. I don't even remember them mentioning his name.
Yeah, I don't think he has very many lines, if he has any. I don't think he speaks like English. I think he speaks like whatever they're. But did you like the original, like the one that came out in like 77, 80, 83? Did you like those
I
better?
did, but that was one of those things I was punished when that came out because I was still in high school and I got bad grades or whatever. So my parents said, "You can't go to the movies anymore. You're banned." And that came out, and all my friends saw it before me.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
And I was watching the commercials, and I'm like, I really want to see that movie.
Yeah.
So I liked it. When I saw it, yeah, I really liked that movie. It has, what that movie had to it? Maybe all 3 of those they had a little bit of a comic thing to it.
Harrison Ford's character definitely had some comedy. Him and Chewie together, and him and Carrie Fisher.
And
as
Carrie
well.
Fisher, yeah. Yeah, that's true, because Mark Hamill's character doesn't really have a lot of comic stuff.
No,
but
he's the serious one.
the kind of rap between those 2
Yeah.
really kind of, there was something good going with those movies.
Yeah.
Something
No,
that they haven't been able to replicate that piece again.
I feel like it's something that those movies needed too, because it just seems like at some points it's almost a little too serious, and then you have a smart ass comment from Harrison Ford to Carrie Fisher, and it kind of lightens the mood a little, because you're like going into battle on the Death Star or something, it's
Right.
just-
And Jar Jar Binks just doesn't do it. Jar Jar Binks doesn't.
He's
not-
annoying.
he's annoying. He's not
very
comic.
annoying. No, he's not comedy. He was stupid. It was a bad idea.
Yep.
So what is your favorite of all of them?
My favorite of all the sequels.
No, of all Star Wars altogether.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Maybe the first one. Maybe I do like the
You
first
like it
one
better
the
than The
best.
Empire Strikes Back?
I'm trying to remember, like Empire Strikes Back, because I've seen them all.
So when Luke's hanging upside down, frozen, and then he has to get the lightsaber, and
And they don't get into Jabba the Hutt doesn't come along till the 3rd one, does he? Is
No.
he the one that they wait till the 3rd?
it's where Lando turns on Harrison Ford when they go to his planet or whatever,
Oh, right.
and then Darth Vader's there with all the stormtroopers and stuff, and that's when they freeze. I don't know. I just always liked that one the best. I mean, I guess when I was younger, I kind of liked Return of the Jedi more than I should have because of the Ewoks.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of cool. I don't know why, but now as I'm older, I'm like,
And Yoda.
I could live without the Ewoks. Yeah, Yoda.
I think Yoda makes the movies. Yoda's in the second one, right? Isn't Yoda the?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
No, I think Yoda is in the second one. Yeah.
And they're chasing him. They have the little space motorcycles and stuff going through the trees. That was a good scene. Well, that could be the third one.
That's
Maybe
the,
I'm mixing
that's the
them
third
up.
one. That's the third one. But that was a good. Those were good scenes.
What about? I'm trying to think of some other sequels that came out. I know that, Terms of Endearment came out.
Oh, then the Lone Star or whatever.
Yeah, Evening Star.
Evening Star, right?
I don't think I saw the sequel to it. Maybe
I didn't.
did I? I can't even remember.
It looked. Just from the previews I saw, it looked like they were trying to do too much, resemble too much of Terms of Endearment. And
Right.
Like some movies, Terms of Endearment won Best Picture, won Best Actor or Actress, Supporting Actor, Director. It's like some movies just shouldn't. They don't need sequels. They don't need to be remade. And I feel like that was one of them. That was a really good movie between a mother and her daughter.
Right.
And then Jack Nicholson's quirky and a smart ass gimmicky. He's always good for stuff like that.
I'm trying to think. Sometimes there's another series of sequels that went years between the different episodes. Oh, and I can't think of who it is. It was something that we'd be looking at like, wow, they're doing it again?
What about like the Transformers sequels? Or any, did you watch?
I've never seen a Transformers movie.
You're not missing a lot.
No? None of them are good?
No. The first two have,
Mark Wahlberg?
no.
Mark Wahlberg's in one of them. I know he is.
Yeah, he's in the older ones, or the newer ones. He plays an older character, obviously. Megan Fox, she's in the first two, so she makes it worth watching. But other than that, they're really terrible. It's Michael.
So she's a really good actress.
No, she's not. She's not a really good actress at all, actually. But they're typical Michael Bay movies. Everything gets exploded 5,000 times.
And how many of them has he done? Does he do all the Transformer movies?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I know he did the first two. I haven't seen any since this. After the second one, when they went to the pyramids in Egypt, I was like, I'm good. I was like, I don't need to see any more of these.
So in general, you're kind of like, you kind of get into that same thing with sequels. It's kind of like, enough.
Yeah, the first one was stupid. I just went and saw the second one because BF got it when it first came out, and I was like, I'll go see it. And it was long. And I remember I wasn't comfortable sitting in the chairs that long to watch a movie so bad.
I think we were talking about this. I think I remember talking about the Transformers movies with Craig at one point, and he said that they pushed the limits. Like they could drop the F-bomb once, and then there was a point where they could use the S word. So I don't know if we can use these words on there, but so anyways, but supposedly they were throwing that all over the place in these movies, and he had brought his kids to see the movies, the Transformers. I don't know. I wasn't really a Transformer person to begin with, like as a kid, so that I really wasn't drawn into the whole thing.
No.
But if they're worthwhile, I guess I would go back and watch them. I don't know.
I wouldn't waste my time. No.
All right, let me bring up another set of sequels for you too. See what you say about this. Rocky.
That's a good example of. They were 3 years apart, the first five, possibly around there, and then they came out with Rocky Balboa in 2006, and then Creed came out and.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking about, that they kept bringing stuff
That's
back.
what I was wondering.
Because there had to be. I know the first one. The first one was great, won the Academy Award and everything. The second one, he has the rematch with Apollo Creed. Real good. I think Carl Weathers is underrated.
Yeah, third one's Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang,
Mr.
right?
T, yeah.
Fourth one
Dolph
is
Lundgren.
right?
Oh my God, I got to tell you about a couple things. But then Rocky 5 is Tommy Machine Gun in the Don King impersonator or whatever. And then they go 15, 16 years or whatever, something like that. And then Rocky Balboa comes out. And Rocky owns an Italian restaurant in Philadelphia, and Adrian's passed away. And it's kind of weird because he almost he starts dating his son's, his son had kind of a love interest in part 5, and he kind of has a romantic relationship in a way with her. I don't know, it's kind of creepy. But he ends up fighting doing an exhibition against the number one contender or something like that. And I remember seeing the preview on ESPN because they're interviewing.
Oh, don't spoil it now. I
Stallone.
want to see it. So
And
don't
I
spoil
have
the
it.
end
I'll
of
let you
everything.
borrow it. And I watched it, and it got me into it. I was like, I want to see this movie. I was like, this looks like it's gonna be a really good movie. And then no, I won't spoil it for you. And then Creed came along, which is Apollo's son, and Rocky ends up managing him.
Right.
Creed 2 is coming out either this fall or next summer.
And that guy's pretty hot now. Mike, what's his
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael
Yeah.
B. Jordan. He's getting to be kind of a hot property.
Guess who's in it?
Oh man, try to guess.
Dolph Lundgren.
I was going to say Dolph Lundgren.
I saw that. I was like, no.
Oh my word.
Another thing that I just remembered: Top Gun 2 Maverick is coming out next summer. Guess who's in that?
Oh, I know, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Because we want to see if he's going to be fat.
Exactly. Oh, did we already talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Because we said that movie Deja Vu. I saw it.
yeah. Okay.
last
We did
summer.
talk. I couldn't remember if I talked about it with you or not. I talk about this stuff with multiple people, so it gets confusing sometimes.
Well, you know, the thing about Rocky, it's like I almost, even in like at the worst of it, like I didn't see 5. I thought 4 was a little like, I don't know, pushing it. But I got to admit, I really like Sylvester Stallone.
I do too.
I like him in almost every movie. I like Stallone. There's a point in that where he's training to fight the Russian guy.
Yep.
And he gets you. I mean, that movie, I don't even know who directed it. It pulls you in, and you're like, you're rooting for him. I mean, I remember being in the movie theater rooting for him, but I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, this is a ridiculous thing with the giant, you will lose.
Yeah. Honestly, I think towards the end of that series, I think he was directing them. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure he directed a couple of them.
I mean, I'd like to see, even the ones that I haven't seen, I would like to go back and watch them just for Stallone.
Here, give me your pen. I'll bring them all in.
I mean, look, Joey brought this in for me. This is Grudge Match.
Another boxing movie with Stallone against De Niro.
And I want to see this.
It's
Just because I like them both. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, it's worth watching.
But I just thought I would bring that one up because that as far as the series goes, yeah, it did push a limit where I was starting to go, oh my word. But the first 3, I mean, I don't know what they rate them on IMDb.
I
but
would
I mean,
check, but it's not working.
they were pretty decent. I mean, we were pulling.
Oh
in.
yeah, I mean, when people talk about the ultimate like feel good movie, I mean, I think Rocky, I think Hoosiers. You know, I mean, because it's like the complete underdogs. You don't see it coming whatsoever.
Luckily, there's no Hoosiers too.
I would be so mad if they made a Hoosiers or a sequel.
I know.
That is one thing, or not a sequel, a remake. I did want to talk about a couple remakes that I thought were good classic movies that were remade that were good, and some that why would you even bother remaking that movie? One that I just entered on there that I borrowed your pen right was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen either one of
You
them.
haven't seen it.
My son beat me. I wanted to see the
Colin's a
newer
big fan
one.
of it too. It's a really good movie. It's got a really good cast.
It was one of those movies that I would watch with my son, but if he went to see it
He's not going to want
with
to watch
his
it.
mom, then I don't end up seeing it on my own.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like
Gotcha.
same thing with Incredibles 2,
Incredibles 2,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So I don't end up seeing them, but and I never saw the original Robin Williams one.
The first one, it's Robin Williams and Bonnie Hunt. And, well, first off, they're kids, and then they get thrown into the game, and so they're grown-ups with kids. And then the forest comes to them into the house. The second one, they do the opposite. These 4 kids have detention for different things. They all got detention one day, and they're in, I forget what they're doing, but they're in, like, the janitor's office or whatever, like, recycling books or something. And one of them finds this old game. And so they set it all up, and they're like, you want to play? Like, why not? We got nothing to do. So all 4 of them do it, and then all of a sudden they start landing in the jungle, and they're all grown-ups. And one of them, like the pretty cheerleader girl, ends up being Jack Black in the jungle. You know, and the little scrawny guy ends up being The Rock. You know, and the big guy is Kevin Hart. You know, the big, huge football player is Kevin Hart. And then the nerdy girl is some, like, pretty, like, Karen Gillan or something like that. But it's funny. It's entertaining. You know, it's got action, comedy. It's really good. Like, I watched it, and I couldn't take my eyes off it.
So it was a good remake.
It was a really...
Not even a remake, because they didn't remake the same story.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah. But, no, I liked it a lot better than the first one. A lot better. Another one, Ocean's 11.
You know, I was just watching some of those.
What did you watch the original with the Rat Pack?
I saw the end. I saw the end of Ocean's 11. I think it was the first one. I mean, I don't know how much you remember them, but George Clooney, they pull it off.
No, I'm talking about the one of the Rat Pack, the original.
Oh, the original
From like
one.
the 60s.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
But you have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw it a long time ago as well. I thought they did a good job with this one.
They did. They did a good job.
But what
Steven
were-
Soderbergh.
Yeah, what were you saying about?
Oh, toward the end. Well, I shouldn't. Well, anyway, they get Andy Garcia. He gets him to admit. He goes, "I'll get you back the money if you give back the girl."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, you got a deal."
And she's watching.
And she's watching
Yeah.
the things. That's the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I started to watch. It must have been the second one or third one. Anyway, Andy Garcia hunts him down. So
Yeah,
the very
that's-
beginning of the movie, which I thought they didn't need to go like
Every
11
single,
times
oh,
to
every single character.
guy.
It's definitely over the top.
But they started to go. He visits them, or he could have done it like really fast. They just kind of show him talking to somebody. I wouldn't have gone into like having scenes for every one of them.
No, I
just
wouldn't
dragging
either.
it out.
Yeah. Did you see 13?
I don't think I ever saw the sequels. I think I saw the original one, and that was it.
13's stupid. It's really bad.
So there's a 12,
And then 13.
a 13.
They drag Al Pacino into 13.
And what about the newest one with the women?
Newest one's Ocean's 8 because there's only 8 of them.
Ah, they couldn't come up with
But it's
11 women. They could have.
they could have, they just didn't. What do you think about the Ocean's series?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Did you like 13?
I didn't see 13.
13 was pretty terrible.
Yeah, no, it's the third one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
11 was good. 12 was worth watching, I feel.
Yeah, 12 was alright.
13 was stupid.
12 wasn't good enough to make me want to watch 13.
13, exactly. I just did because I was bored one night.
It's like, alright, I just saw 11 again,
Yeah.
so I don't need to see it for the third time.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
With a diluted cast.
What about Turner and Hooch?
What about Turner and Hooch? Did they do a remake of
We
that?
should be talking about dog films.
Dog films.
That's a good point. We should do that.
I'm writing it down as an idea for
Yeah,
the future.
we can do dog films next week. There's a fun. Oh,
Cujo.
yeah, Cujo. There you go. Yeah, we'll do a dog show next week. That's kind of funny that you mentioned that. If I had thought of that, I would have texted him and been like, "Here, let's do a movie on dogs." White Fang. There you go. That's kind of a fitting title.
That's good.
Um,
So what other sequels do you have? I'm thinking of another one that I just recently watched. John Carpenter's The Thing.
yeah. Did you see the remake though?
I saw the original.
Yep.
I watched the original black and white one where James Arness played The Thing.
Oh, right. James Carpenter is actually not the original.
John Carpenter.
John Carpenter's not.
No,
No.
yeah, these guys, they remade that, which came out in the 50s, and it took place up in the Arctic, and then they remade it. John Carpenter's. They did it in the Antarctic.
In like the early 80s.
Made the isolation even more. And then what they did was they made, I think they called it The Thing. They made another one, but it was actually the prequel. It was what happens,
leading up to
the story of what happens before The Thing. I think it's a great movie. I've probably seen it.
You're talking about the John Carpenter one.
John Carpenter's at least 3 times. I just watched it with my son and my girlfriend.
How do they like it?
My son liked it.
That kind of surprises me
It
because
held his
how old is he?
interest. He's 13.
Because I would think he would have thought it was boring.
No, it was good.
Because there's everything nowadays stuff's blowing up every 3 seconds.
My girlfriend thought it was. I'm trying to think. What did she say about it? She was looking at like the deeper meaning of like the thing that can kind of transform into stuff, and it really it got into her. She was talking about like like getting into you. I watching it again, I was like, wow, this is really a well done movie. I forget how good it really is, and it has these wild special effects, which. There are parts of it where it turns to humor because there's a point where one of the characters looks at it and goes, "You gotta be kidding me!" Because in the audience, we're just like, they just pushed it so far. We're like, but it was the first. It was great. It was like funny. It was. I didn't even know how to describe it. It was great. It was like perfectly balanced. Where nowadays you would see some stuff like that and just go, that's ridiculous now.
Right.
But that one, it worked. It worked in that particular thing because. They were just blown away by this thing. The newest one, I don't think it was really good. It really wasn't, totally compelling. There was this little twist that happened toward the end, which I kind of had my eye on already from the old one, from like living I don't know how to explain. You haven't seen it, so I can't.
No, I
I
haven't.
don't want to give it
I
away.
haven't seen it.
But it wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as John Carpenter's The Thing. But I would like to see him back to back someday. I'd like to watch him. So it was pretty neat. Anyway, that one just kind of came to mind as remakes because I've watched it. I think it's better. I think John Carpenter's was probably better than the original one.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably, and then the one that came after that was a level down.
Yeah.
So
So was the one that came after Carpenter's better than the original? Do you think or no? So you say the middle one's the best. The
even
first
the
one's
even
second.
the '50s one is quite compelling.
Yeah.
But John Carpenter took it to another level, and he had Kurt Russell, who I know you like.
Oh yeah.
And I
I
mean,
like
you
Kurt
know,
Russell a lot.
you love Kurt Russell. I couldn't tell you who starred in the original one, but Kurt Russell's great. Keith David's in it. Wilford
For Brimley,
Brimley.
Quaker Oats guy. Got to throw that out every time. The Quaker Oats guy.
I can't think of some of the other. But it had a really great cast. There was one guy I didn't know, but otherwise I thought it was a pretty good movie. What other ones have you got on your list?
I put for bad sequels any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. After the first one, I don't know. I mean, you're not really a big horror guy, are you?
No, I saw the original. Maybe I saw a sequel. I think I saw them at the drive-in. I think I saw the first one, the second one back to back. No.
I mean, there are like 3 big horror movie franchises that I considered growing up as a kid. It was
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. And other than the first Nightmare on Elm Street, the rest of them are terrible.
Yeah, Halloween. I liked the first one. I think that John Carpenter again.
Yeah.
That was like the original of that type of movie.
Yeah.
At the time, I think that one. I'm pretty confident that one predates Friday the
It does
13th.
by 2 years. Friday the 13th came out the year I was born. I believe Halloween was 78. It might have been 77, but it was definitely in the 70s.
And that was the first one that kind of amped up that genre of, I guess you would call it the slasher film.
Yeah.
Right. And then Friday the 13th I saw, which wasn't particularly good. But I got to put a plug in for part 6, Jason Lives.
Why is that?
Because it came in with a sense of humor on the whole thing. Like it came in with a bigger budget. It's just, it's a better looking movie. Some of those, even the first one, they were all like really B movies. And this one, they put some money into it, and they had some humor to the whole thing. You know, like there's a point where the gravedigger, he, after they resurrect Jason, he's filling in the grave again, and he looks up at the camera. You know, he's playing with, what do they call that? He's talking to the audience. He's breaking the third wall,
Right. Yeah, right. Okay.
right? With fourth wall. He's breaking a wall.
Breaking a wall.
So he's shoveling, he looks at the camera and he goes, some people have the strangest idea of a good time, or something to that effect. And that was like, you know, that you're kind of like laughing at the fact, like, okay, yeah, we're there watching people get massacred. We have a strange idea of fun.
Right. Yeah.
And there are several parts of that movie that are like that. And Jason takes on this superhuman. I mean, he was already like this big, strong guy in the movies previous and would do these wild things. But he goes to like this superhuman level. So it's almost comedic. There's something about it with 6 that I think 6 is my favorite of the whole franchise.
You know, it's funny that, you know, they're running out of things to do with it when part 8 is Jason Takes Manhattan. You know, I mean, I was looking through my movies last night. I saw that. And I was like, I own that movie.
Then there's one, it's like Jason in space, and then there was
Yeah.
Jason versus the Predator or something.
Freddy versus
Alien.
Jason. Yeah.
Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. That actually wasn't bad, surprisingly.
Don't forget Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Jason Goes to
Yep, that's the final Friday.
That's the one that was like unwatchable.
That one was probably the most unwatched because Jason just keeps changing bodies. Like, you don't know who Jason is. It could be a girl. It could be the doctor.
It's like The Thing.
Yeah. It was just... Yeah, they got pretty unwatchable. And then they did a remake in, like, 2009. I actually went and saw it on Valentine's Day. But it was good. I actually liked it. I mean, it was, you know, more...
The remake of the first. They remade the first one with the Camp Silver Lake and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
But there was a twist in it. But still, it's pretty much more or less a remake.
that's pretty cool.
And it was good. It was really good.
Well, what about, we're talking sequels. Here's one that came out that we weren't thinking about. Night of the Living Dead. right? Night of the Living Dead was like a 60s movie. It was black and white. And then they
Right.
came out with Day of the Dead or
I know there's a Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
I saw that.
They're in a mall.
Yeah, that's Dawn of the Dead. I actually kind of like that.
They've been remade. They've been made and remade.
To death. Yeah. One question I have. What do you think is the worst sequel of all time?
The worst sequel.
Because one came out to mind instantly for me. And I'm just curious.
I don't know. I have a hard time thinking about the worst sequel. I don't know.
I
might pick one of those horror movies.
don't own it, and I just instantly Caddyshack 2.
Caddyshack.
Oh my god. I wish this was working, because that might be our lowest ranked movie. That was Jackie Mason.
You can't. Jackie Mason was supposed to take the part of the.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, you can't. Rodney Dangerfield is the best part of that movie. He's fun. He's much funnier than.
The question I have is how much money did Chevy Chase lose, like gambling or something, to get him to get him to be in that movie? I mean, he didn't have
in part two.
Yeah, he didn't have a huge role like he did in the first one, but it's like, why, dude? You're a big star. You're like an A-list celebrity. What are you doing in this movie? You know.
Maybe that's one of those things. Maybe he was signed to it through the contract.
That's what I was wondering
if this movie's a big hit, you're gonna have to make another. Luckily, they never made another Animal House 2. I'm glad they left that alone.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain movies
And
definitely.
now you can't. John Belushi's being dead. You couldn't.
Well,
remake
they
that.
redid the Blues Brothers. They brought in John Goodman to replace him.
Right.
So,
No, I haven't seen that. Did you?
No. But, I mean, I feel like they shouldn't have.
Nah, they shouldn't have played with that one. That's another one that's almost like a classic on
Yeah.
its own.
Yeah, like
You can't replace Belushi.
No.
He's not replaceable.
All right, let's see if this will work. 'Cause I really want to
He's
see
like
it.
Marlon Brando. He's like a comedic Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
You can't replace him.
No, Belushi was great. I mean, I love the scene in the Animal House when he fills his mouth with mashed potatoes. He's like, "Tell me what I am now." And he goes, "That's it. Get it?" And then they all start chasing him.
I think it's too bad he died because I don't think we realize that he approached those parts, and one of the reasons he's so funny is he's not trying to be funny. He's not mugging. So he does these things. He does these things in character that are great and they're hilarious. Same thing with Blues Brothers. He's not mugging. He's straight. The script is funny. He's not.
Yeah.
Even he takes off his glasses and he sees Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
I mean, it was perfect. It was perfectly in part. They should not have remade that one. Maybe that's I haven't even watched it. I don't want to.
I haven't either. I mean, it's still Aykroyd, but it's
And it's John Goodman, who I enjoy a lot
yeah.
too.
But just some movies just don't touch.
What about Big Lebowski? Well, you didn't like the Big Lebowski.
I didn't like the Big
But they're
Lebowski.
planning on making a sequel to the Big Lebowski.
With Jeff Bridges, and
I think so.
that surprises me.
And supposedly there's an offshoot of that. There's a movie about John Turturro's character, the Jesus.
Really?
Yeah. So, but it's a foreign film. It takes place in Europe or something. I don't know.
Are the Coens doing it?
I don't think that's the Coens. I think somebody else is doing
But
it.
I mean, are they doing Lebowski too?
I think so.
That
It's the
surprises me
Coens.
too. I have to write some of this down.
I don't know if you could do it. I don't know if you could touch that. That's another movie. In my opinion, you're not going to be able to touch that to make a second one. They haven't done any sequels.
What, the Big Lebowski, you mean?
Yeah, or the Coen Brothers. Coen Brothers, I don't think they've reprised any of their stuff.
I'd like to see him try to make a sequel out of No Country for Old Men. Good luck with that one.
Right.
I don't think that ended well for anybody. You know?
Fargo.
Yeah,
I started to watch the beginning of Fargo recently.
I love that movie.
Another really good movie.
That just makes me reminisce. I remember I saw that I saw it Christmas Day my senior year of high school, or my junior year of high school. That and The Rock with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. And those are two, I like both of them a lot. But Fargo was just, it was just kind of almost like nothing you've ever really seen, because you're like, should I be laughing? Because I am. Like,
Right. Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
I mean, this is like, it's a dark comedy, but it's also like a crime thriller, like murder mystery, like.
And what I forgot about that movie is at the very beginning, it says this is based on a true story.
Yeah.
So that this really happened, which I didn't remember.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting.
One thing I always forget: did they find the money at the end?
I think they do, yeah.
Because I remember, doesn't Steve Buscemi bury it in like a snowbank, or bury it like by a pole, and he counts like which pole it is, and then he obviously
I'm gonna have to watch it again.
doesn't.
I thought they did.
Doesn't survive to go collect. So I never remember to go back and watch it. Because that's a movie, if you put it in and go to a scene, you're like, no, I'm just going to watch it. You know, it's such a good, enjoyable movie.
It is.
You know, the Coen brothers, and Frances McDormand in particularly, and William H. Macy, they all nailed it. I mean, Buscemi was great, Peter Stormare was great. But really, honestly, other than Frances McDormand, I mean, Steve Buscemi had the role in Reservoir Dogs, and he had a cameo as Buddy Holly, the waiter Buddy Holly in Pulp Fiction.
Right.
Other than that, I don't think anybody knew who he was, you know, and that was a pretty big role for him in a pretty successful movie. You know, won 2 Academy Awards.
Yeah.
McDormand won Best Actress, and the brothers won Original Screenplay. And it was nominated for picture. I believe it lost to The English Patient, so I think the Academy needs to go back and look at their...
Maybe I got to watch The English Patient again. I don't know. I know I've seen it.
It's too long.
I don't remember much about it.
It's too boring. You know, there's like no action. Like it's
Ralph Fiennes, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much him and
It's an actress I don't like.
yeah,
I know.
she's a foreign actress. I can't. Is it Kristen Scott Thomas? Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's who it is.
It's pretty much just the two of them. I feel like in a camp as he's like living out his last days.
I'm gonna have to watch it again, I guess.
You know what I still need to watch that you haven't pressured me enough into watching is Schindler's List. Because I'm a big Ray Fiennes fan, and I heard he's a miserable.
It was the first time I'd ever seen his face, and it's that sometimes when you've never seen an actor before, then you don't have anything else to like reference them. I felt the same with James Woods. First time I saw James Woods, I was just like, I thought he was amazing because he played that same type of a sadistic bad guy.
Yeah, he's good at that.
And Ralph Fiennes is a very good actor to begin with.
He's really good in Quiz Show. Have you seen that? Mm-hmm. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, he's
but
good.
he has a wide range of characters he can play because he can play the jerk, like you say, in that. But then he can play the mayor or the congressman or whatever, Made in Manhattan or whatever. Then he can play the guy that everybody wants to love in Quiz Show. You know, so I mean, he's got a wide range of acting talents. But I think we're just about out of time this week. You got an idea of maybe what we want to do next week? We want to do dog movies?
Dog movies.
There's a story behind that.
I haven't seen many. I'm not really. It's not a genre that I tend to watch a lot of, like Beethoven or.
I think our episode could have something referencing White Fang. You know, throwing Fang in there or something like that.
But we could look into. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do dog
All right,
movies
so
next
we'll do
week.
dog movies next week.
And we'll see if Joey holds up. See if he'll be on the show next week.
maybe if Alex wants to be the special guest.
He's not. We haven't talked about it on air, so
No.
we don't know what we're referencing.
Yes,
Most
but
people out there.
You'll find out next week at this time. So this was the best pictures this week. I'm Joey Powers.
I'm Don Tretler.
See you at the movies.